Hi, welcome to the Winners Find a Way show and podcast with your host, Trent M Clark, 3-time World Series coach, CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur, having started 12 companies, coach to the 1%, and an international speaker. This show is going to be your go-to podcast for facing adversity, being inspired, and overcoming obstacles, all from the best in the world, business, sports, and leadership. Hate the crappy ingredients in many beverages and energy drinks? Rebellious Infusions are the go-to functional beverage. They have 5 or fewer plant-based organic ingredients, no sugar, no calories, loaded with antioxidants to boost your immune system, and L-theanine for brain health. Rebellious Infusions are available at drinkrebellious.com. Rethink your drink. For 10% off of your next purchase, use the code 99999.
Hello, welcome to the Winners Find a Way show. I am your host, Trent Clark, CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur, longtime coach in professional baseball, coaching in 3 World Series. And I am with one of my favorite guests, Mellisa Hughes. Hi, Mellisa. How are you doing?
Great. How are you, Trent?
I'm awesome. I'm even better now. I get to hang out and talk with you. Come on,
I'm super excited to be here. I just love talking to you. You always make me laugh.
Really? That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to have some fun. I'm going to try to make you laugh. We're going to try not to cry because we might do that too. All right, but welcome for everybody to the show. We love our guests. Thankful that you're here, and we are a show all about bringing you the 1%ers to talk about those challenges in life. And the Winners Find a Way show is based on the quote that winners, when shown data that they are losing, find a way to win, by Chris McChesney and Sean Covey. Love that from the 4 Disciplines of Execution. If you are currently out there struggling, challenged, I just encourage you, this is the show. You're looking to become elite, looking to be a business owner, looking to be a better athlete, just a better person. I think you're in the right place. And today, Mellisa Hughes comes on and brings the big noise. So Mellisa, tell them where they can find you first.
Yes, you can find me on TikTok. We're actually live right now at Mellisa Lee Hughes, or on Instagram at Mellisa Lee Hughes. And it's Lee as L-E-A. That's all one word. LinkedIn, Mellisa Lee Hughes. Facebook, Mellisa Hughes. Or my email, melissa@melissaleehughes.com.
I love that it's in your message, actually. People can't find Mellisa Hughes. Just go to her message right here. If you can visibly see this on the show, we got it. And for all, Melissa's huge, massive TikTok following, hello. It's good to see you out there. So excited to join the Mellisa Hughes contention. It's just a huge group. And we're going to talk about your following, which is awesome, and how that was created. But let's first of all get to know Mellisa Hughes a little bit. Mellisa, we both now live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but we used to live in Chicago, Illinois, where you are from. Yes, homecoming queen of the Mundelein Mustangs. Got her on my show. What up? Right here, everybody. It's not for everybody, but when you get the homecoming queen, you gotta let them know. You gotta let them know that they're on and it's happening. All right. So you have this unique business. You are a TikTok coach. You TikTok coach for our contention at Athletic Influencer Marketing, AIM, where we have athletes in the NIL space, and Mellisa helps our contingency learn to get better at being online and shooting their video. So you are an absolute expert, but you are probably best known for being this TikToker who create a real environment around being a spouse, a mother, and you were featured on the Kelly Clarkson show. You're an author of 2 fabulous books. One, certainly that She Can Laugh, for all those moms, mothers, wives out there, right? Everyone who's out there, you female contingency, get it. And then your children book, that Mommy Loves You When.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. Walk me through why you decide hey, I got to write a book. Why did you think this is a great idea and this is what I just have to do?
Well, I actually wrote She Can Laugh in 2016 was when it was published. So it was before I was on TikTok or anything. And that book is all about helping women becoming spiritually, emotionally, and physically healthy. So it was also, Trent, before everybody was all organic and loved kale. I want to say I was on the cusp of that wave. But yeah, it's a whole message about helping women live in their faith, live in healthy with not just physically, but also in their mind and their soul. So, and it's based off that scripture in Proverbs 31, she can laugh the days to come.
Love it. Love it. And then, So let's take me through, you've been through some trials here, right? Like that's just a part of life that's happened
Yeah.
and never easy. So let's talk a little bit about, Kelly Clarkson show on there twice, right?
Yeah. They
Okay.
booked me for 2 segments. Yeah.
Yeah, for 2 segments, right? Which is pretty cool. What's one thing that most people don't know about you?
Well, Trent, I am a terrible driver. And even
Yeah.
in high school, I was voted worst driver for my senior superlative. Most people don't know that, and I've worked on it, but I'm working on it.
Nice. Hey, work in progress. That's right. Hey, I use driving all the time in my talks and I do it sometimes on shows because I use driving as that epitome of confidence game, right? Confidence is about prep and
Mhm.
reps and how
Yeah.
prepared we are to drive and then how many repetitions we get again and again. Like most of us, I'm very old, by the way. I'm not like you, this young mom, right? Like I never thought about getting in my car at 35 years old. If my wife said, "Hey, can you go to the grocery store?" I wouldn't be like, "Oh, how do I start this thing again? Like,
Right.
how do I get it into drive? Like, oh, red means which? Like, stop. Like, we're so confident. Like, I'm monitoring
Mhm.
all the traffic, the signs, eating a sandwich, calling someone. Like, it's awful, right? I'm doing way too much multitasking, right? Because I'm so confident in my ability to
Mhm.
do it, right? So it's pretty unique. And I don't know, like Melissa, I don't know if you should tell these people because you know how many people get on women drivers, right? Like people are like out there. So I don't know as the mantra for women if you can ever admit this to anybody. All right.
I know. Let's just have it be our secret. No
Yeah,
one will know.
yeah, for sure it is now. I mean, like it'll always be just in stone, right? Okay, so you get going on this thing, and so you wrote the book,
Yeah.
and you've been on missionary work in the UK.
Yeah.
You are married
Yeah. 10 years.
to and your husband is from the UK.
Yeah, he was born in Scotland, grew up in Wales, moved here when he was 10. So yeah, and we were able to live there for about 4 years because obviously he's from there. So I piggybacked off of his citizenship.
And you've done missionary work over there. You've done a lot of things. Like love the culture, love the community. Yeah.
Yes, love living in the UK.
Yeah, nice. So, hey, she's not hating on Grand Rapids, people. Grand Rapids, Michigan's a fine place. Like, we're good here too.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about, one of the biggest challenges in your life
Yeah.
came down to an event in the UK.
Yeah. So we had decided to move over there. I was 25 and my husband was 23. And we moved to the UK to start a church, which is obviously like to go and help people. And we're full of excitement and faith. And a month after moving there, my husband got into a horrible car accident. And we had, at that point, no car, no house, no furniture. I actually found out I was also pregnant, and the only place that would rent to us at that point was a funeral home in a valley. So we lived in a valley and actually after that, about a year and a half later, the only place that would rent to us was a cemetery. So we lived during that time on a funeral home and then a cemetery in a valley, and it was just 3 years of really difficult challenge.
Yeah. So, your husband was in a horrific auto accident,
Yeah.
which took, months and months of rehabilitation.
Yeah. He
Off,
couldn't
off.
work. I couldn't work.
Yeah, couldn't work because you became, which you didn't have training for or signed up for, but you became the nurse.
Right. Yeah. I
Because
became his full-time
that's the
carer.
gig.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're like, wow, I said these vows a little while ago, like in sickness and in health, but like I didn't know I was gonna be challenged so
Yeah.
soon. Like this is gonna be a go, right?
Yes. Yep. I remember giving him sponge baths in our living room, like the whole thing. It was a really, really hard time. And especially like when you're going over there to like be a help and suddenly you become like in your most vulnerable state and like actually in like a huge place of need was
Yeah.
super humbling.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that, you kind of grew up as that person who served those needs. You were taught, like, hey, go out, do the mission work. There are people that are less fortunate than we are. Go out there, be a life force to people. And you're like now raising your hand, like, hey, I'm one of those people now.
Yeah, exactly.
Walk me through that, like that transition in your heart, right? Like, because I don't know, we're Americans, we're a prideful people, right? We're like, I don't need any help. I can do everything,
Yeah.
like what's your stance? Like, how does that transition?
Yeah. That is such a good question. I think like looking at it, it was really, a huge thing, like a huge core value of mine, Trent, is my faith. And so when it all first happened, I was all like, hey, it's okay. Everything's going to get, God's called us here. It's going to be all good. But because things like didn't necessarily get better, in fact, like things seemed like it just like hardship after hardship ended up being, for me, I wasn't really being real or honest with myself. And you can never really move forward until you come to that like real, honest place. And it wasn't until a friend of mine called me from back home, and this was like a year and a half in, and she was like, hey, Mellisa, how you doing? And I was like, we've had some challenges, but we're good. We're okay. It's going to get better. And I've got faith and blah, blah, blah. And she just said to me on the phone, she's like, Mellisa, it's okay to say that things are not okay right now. And Trent, I could not get those words out of my mouth because I felt like I'd have to answer a question that I was totally unprepared to answer, which was, okay, but then if God is good, then why do I feel like he's called us into something so bad? And so it was really like under the surface, I was having like my core value of my faith was really being shaken. Yep. And I really had no answer. And like, I felt like I kind of like broke in that moment. And it was a point of like leaning into the pain and leaning into like that question, which was a very unknown question to me.
Yeah. I hear that. And I've had some friends who have been that ultimate, like the glass is half full. In fact, it's more than half full. It's 3/4. Like, all right, you can argue with me all day long. Like, I don't even know if it's water, by the way. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, and there is that power of positivity, and I honor it and I respect it. But there's also where I've lost, I shouldn't say lost. I don't know how to describe it, but I have definitely felt some animosity towards positive people where I feel like it's really not authentic and genuine anymore. Right? It's like, yeah, I think you're just BSing me now. Like, are you like, I'm like asking like, hey, are you trying to convince me it's okay? Because I'm sitting over here. I know it's not okay, but yet I'm sitting right in here to lean in, to hug, to do whatever you need, because I'm not leaving and I'm here for you. But don't sell me a line of garbage and ask me to believe it, because, we know truth, right?
Yeah. Well,
and we lean into that and go, I don't think you're being genuine or authentic right now. And so you're either this force of positivity, but it also can be like, you might be delusional, right?
Right. Well, really. And I think like for me being completely transparent, it was like I wasn't in a place where I was willing to look at the hard stuff, right? Because like if we feel like we're failing or we're not doing good enough or it's not going the way that we thought, it's better to make it seem positive and happy as opposed to being like, well, maybe, maybe I need to look at some stuff or maybe I need to assess some things, and really like unleashing the shame and taking a good hard look at ourselves. And that's not easy to do. And it takes courage to do that.
Yeah, that is courage. Great word. It's a hard one for me, right, Mellisa? Because I believe in the power of positive thinking, right? I mean, I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in getting right and all those things. So, I would never tell anybody, what you need to do. You need to go to the negative place. That's not what I'm going to ask of anybody. But I do think there's this process that we have to walk through authenticity and face what we're dealing with and know that it's going to be okay. Like good or bad, like we know what we're up against, and let's not walk around in denial about what's really happening here. Right.
Yeah.
So, walk me through that.
No, it's just that like, again, like for me, like my faith was really important to me. And I always I had this belief system that I didn't realize that I had, but obviously Trent, like if you think God's good, you're going to trust him, but you're going to like, for me, I thought then my life should be good. But the question is like, is God still good when your life is bad? And that like, I didn't have an answer for, but what I ended up discovering, and this was like what like the revelation or like the epiphany that I got was that like, while I wanted like a pain-free life, and that's what I thought was being promised to me, I was being trusted with a profound life, because you can't have a triumph without a tragedy. You can't have a really great story without something happening to make it an awesome story. And like, if you look at like the person of Jesus, you know, he had the resurrection, but he also had the cross. And so it's both. And
Yeah.
like living in the mountaintop and the valley, if you want to live like your most profound, like the fullest expression of life, you have to have both. And I never saw that before. So like appreciating the valley and knowing that like that is where we grow, and that's where like we face the hard things, where we, let me tell you something, Trent, you definitely become a lot more empathetic after you have suffered.
Yeah.
Right? You definitely become a lot more like compassionate and humble after you've gone through something. So thank God for those times in a way, because
Yeah.
you're able to be like a more whole person.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. You know, it's funny that you say it. I feel like I've been through some things in my life, right, Mellisa? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know on a scale of 1 to 10 how bad it's been, right? But I gotta tell you, like, you know, I score like negative numbers on the empathy gene, right? Like it's like rub some dirt in it. You're not hurt. And so, and I don't know. Part of that was like when I went through the hard times, you know, I went through the valley and you know, I went around it, I went through it, I went over it, I went under it. Like I learned how to, you know, find a way, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, no one ever said like, hey man, like, you know, you just need to like, I feel so bad for you and this and that. Like they were just like, suck it up, man. Like this is the way it is. Like, and I was like, wow, like, so I didn't get a lot of empathy. And I'm not saying, you know, my mom was more empathetic than my dad for sure, but like it's a hard thing. Like, and I'd like to say I'm more empathetic today, and I definitely am. Like I'm actually in the positive scale now. I'm not negative numbers, but like I do actually score where they just go, you should just go away and not talk to people anymore. I don't know if it's like made me a 9 or 10, you know what I'm saying? Which I think that power that you got from that, I think is huge. And, you know, one of the things that I'm always challenged with as we address that good and bad, right? Is that I hear a lot of people go, you know what, like, where are you at now, God? Things are bad. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's fair. But like every time you got something good in your life, or you like, hey, God ordained, or was it, hey, look at me. I don't know if you know or not, I'm kind of a big deal. Like, you know what I just did? I just got this many followers. I just won a World Series. I just did this. Like, did I do it? Or am I, when all things are good for me, like, Lord, thank you for blessing me in this. Thank you for giving me this platform to see people and help them. And like, I'm a blessed guy. So when people go the good and the bad, when it's bad, it's like, Lord, where you at? Where you at?
Right.
And I'm like, well, when it was good, were you like, hey, God, thanks for walking with me, man, lifting me up? Because I don't always hear that, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So that's a tough one for me. All right. So you become a TikTok coach. How did you become this TikTok extraordinaire? What was the deal with like, you're okay, you're an author. I'm sure they're like, hey, get on some social media. Like, yeah, okay, fine. But like my understanding is you did a post, one post, and that one post, just like my first one, you know, which got 1 like. Thanks, Mom. And thanks, sis. And you're like, you got how many likes on your first post?
It was 22 million.
Oh yeah, just 22 million.
Yeah.
That was more than my sister and my cousin, the two I got. So walk me through how that all started.
Need to hydrate but tired of plain old water? You need Rebellious Infusions. No sugar, no calories, loaded with antioxidants to boost your immune system. And L-theanine for brain health. 10 organic flavors and convenient liquid packets. Just add 16 ounces and you are on your way. Rethink your drink at drinkrebellious.com. For 10% off of your next purchase, use the code 99999. Do you want to be our next guest? Or do you have inspiring stories to share? Or do you love to inspire, support, and empower thought leaders? Feel free to send Trent a direct message on Instagram or Facebook at Leadershipity.